to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a video talking about my hospital procedures that I've had, including the operation that I had, because although everyone's procedures will be slightly different and personal to them, I thought it might be helpful for people that have certain things coming up to know kind of basically what it's going to entail. I'm going to try and talk about them in order of when they happened, but it's going to be difficult to remember. Some of them I've had more than once, and I started having them about 5 years ago, so it's just trying to figure out the timeline. I have made some notes, this time on paper, old-fashioned way, because my laptop always decides to have a mental breakdown as soon as the camera comes out. So the first hospital procedure that I had to have, I don't know if it's really classed as a procedure, was an ultrasound scan, which was weird because I wasn't pregnant. It was just to basically look inside my tummy. Before then I didn't realise that ultrasounds were used for anything other than pregnancies and seeing how the baby's doing. But no, they were able to see my intestine through the ultrasound, and they were basically just looking for areas where the intestine appeared to be thicker than others, because that would have been where the most scarring was. It wasn't a bad experience at all. In fact, I found it quite funny. It wasn't painful. It's just a bit of cold jelly stuff on your stomach area, and then there's like a scan, like a handheld scanner. They move around and then it shows up on the screen. So that one was probably the easiest. They definitely started me nice and steady. That one wasn't difficult, it wasn't scary, but it was interesting. So yeah, that was the first hospital procedure that I had to have. The second one was an MRI scan, which I had a lot of. I've probably had about 4 or 5 of those now, and I was really scared for my first one. I can remember I was petrified. It was in the early stages of my diagnosis. I hadn't actually been diagnosed, and I'm claustrophobic, and I'd heard all these horror stories of how it's like this really big machine and you go into it and it's really noisy and beepy, and I was very scared. However, the way it actually went wasn't that bad, to be completely honest. I mean, I remember I had to get to hospital in the morning. You're not allowed to eat or anything for a day or so before, and you have to have this stuff that flushes you out a few days before, which is as lovely as it sounds. It's literally just being sat on the toilet for a day or two, making sure there's nothing left inside of you. And that's basically just so when they do the scan, they have as clear an image as possible, and you don't have loads of gunk and crap just sitting in your intestine and stomach that shows up, because that doesn't give them a clear image. But I did struggle, to be honest, to drink the stuff that clears you out, because it's very salty. I don't know if you've ever had like a rehydration fluid before, but it tastes like that but worse. And you have to drink about 2 litres of the stuff, but it is honestly better to just chug it down instead of sipping. Just chug it down. You have to drink it over a certain amount of time. So the way I did it was, say I had to drink a litre, I'd like split that into how long I had and just have a chug a glass, and then like 10 minutes later chug another glass, instead of slowly sipping on a litre for an hour, because honestly it makes you feel physically sick. It's horrible. Yeah, so on the day you have to drink another solution, which just helps make sure there's absolutely nothing left inside of you, and they inject a type of dye into you as well just before you start, just through a cannula and a vein. It's not anything horrible. Honestly, if you're already going through this kind of thing, then you've probably been prodded and poked with 1,000 needles by now, so it's nothing worse than that. So yeah, so you lie down gosh, sorry you lie down on the machine. I remember the first one I had was when I was in the children's hospital, so they gave me these earphones, and I can remember it's like Emily Sandé playing through, so you don't hear the machine, because I think it's mainly because younger kids find it quite scary, which it was settling, to be honest. It was quite nice, and you just go in and you can hear them speaking through the earphones as well, and they basically just tell you when to breathe in, when to breathe out, and when to hold your breath, because as you breathe in and out and your lungs expand and close, it impacts on everything else moves, and that helps them get images from different angles, and when everything's like spasming, it gives them all the views that they can get. So yeah, I've had a few MRI scans. The more recent ones I've had, I've not been able to have the earphones. A bit sad, no more Emily Sandé to listen to, but it's not that bad at all. It's really not scary. And as someone that is genuinely very claustrophobic, I mean, I won't even get in a lift, especially if I'm by myself, because I'm scared that I'm going to get in the lift, it's going to break down, I'm going to have a panic attack and die in there, and there's going to be no one to save me, so I won't even get in lifts by myself. But I promise it is really not claustrophobic. It's open both ends. If you want to get out, you can get out. It's really not anything that bad. You're not strapped down against your will or anything like that. But yeah, that's the MRI scan. So they're really not that bad either. The next scan that I would have had was a barium x-ray. I had an x-ray before, but that's just normal. Everyone knows what an x-ray is like. You just stand there or lie there, depending on where they want to get the scan from. Take a picture of it, get out. Really not that bad. The barium x-ray, however, was vile. Again, I am not that fussy an eater or drinker. However, the fluid that you have to drink for the barium scan is like this thick, chalky liquid, and it basically lines all of the inside of you so that it shows up really well on the x-ray. But oh wow, it is grim. It's literally like drinking this metal chalk. I don't even know how to explain it. It's one of those ones where unless you taste it, I physically can't explain it to you. But it's not the nicest thing in the world, that's for sure. So yeah, that's what the barium scan is like. However, again, it is one of those ones we have to drink it over a certain amount of time, but taking big gulps and maybe drinking some water if you're allowed in between helps. I mean, really, the only thing that got me through it mentally was knowing that by them doing the scan, they would be one step closer to finding out what was wrong with me. So the positives definitely weigh out the negatives. As much as it tastes like actual crap, at the end of the day, you're going to find out what's wrong with you. So it's worth it. The next hospital procedures that I had to have were endoscopies and colonoscopies. So for those of you that don't know what an endoscopy and colonoscopy is, it's kind of grim, to be honest with you. An endoscopy is where they put a camera down your throat, through your mouth, down your throat, all the way down into your stomach and intestines. They can have a look. Colonoscopy, give you a guess, colon, up the other end. It's absolutely lovely. So yeah, basically shove a camera up your arse, to put it politely, and into your intestines so they can see everything from another angle. The first time I had to have those, I was put to sleep. So didn't have any feeling of what was going on at all. It's quite nice, to be honest with you. I was kind of scared the first time I was put to sleep, as you can imagine. It's a weird experience, but it's actually really not that bad. It's quite relaxing. You wake up a little bit dazed, not knowing what's happened, but at least you're not awake for it. However, about 6 or 7 months ago, I had quite a bad Crohn's flare-up, and my doctor arranged that I'd have another colonoscopy to see what was going on. And I had just thought they always put you to sleep, because I'd had them once or twice before in the children's hospital and they put me to sleep. And then I was informed that no, once you go into adult services, you don't get put to sleep. So the last colonoscopy I had, I was awake for, and honestly, it's an uncomfortable experience, I'm not going to lie. It's not easy to be awake for. You can either have gas and air, or it's like just like a anaesthetic type thing that doesn't send you to sleep, but it just sends you a bit woozy. I was told that it would make me feel like I was drunk. I wouldn't say it made me feel like I was drunk, to be completely honest with you. I didn't want to have the gas and air because I've been told before that if you have a lot of it, it can make you feel really sick. So I went for the wooziness. Didn't really work that well on me, to be honest. I don't know why, or if that's just as much as it's meant to do. However, I could feel pretty much everything that was going on. It was quite painful. And it was an extremely invasive procedure. I'm not going to lie, lying on a hospital table with your arse out with 3 surgeons/nurses in the room isn't that fun. However, again, it's worth it, I guess, if you can find out what's happening in the end. Really, to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd be able to do it again. Like, unless I really, really had to, because I really did struggle. I was upset after. It was difficult. My boyfriend came with me, and to be honest, the stories I told him probably disturbed him more than I was disturbed. So yeah, I don't want to like scare anyone away from having that, anyone that's got to have it, because it will be worth it if you can find out what's wrong with you, but just to prepare you, it is going to be an uncomfortable experience, as you can imagine. And just make sure you do as much research as you can beforehand into the different types of like anaesthetic and gas and air and different things that you can have, and what is going to work best for you, because I may not have picked the one that worked best for me. If I'd have had gas and air, if I'd have had gas and air, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad. So I do wish I'd looked into it a bit more, because I kind of was just like, oh yeah, I'll have the one that makes me feel drunk, because who doesn't like feeling drunk? But yeah, so that was the last one I had. And then the biggest procedure I've had basically was when I was 15, so I was 17, so 2015. God, I always do that, I don't know why. Like, is it really that hard? No. So yeah, that was my operation where they took out a good chunk of my intestine. So you've got your small bowel and your large bowel, and they have a joint, and that was where the most inflamed part of my Crohn's was. So they took out that joint and sewed it back together, and they also took out my appendix just for the crack, really. He was like, while we're in there, we may as well take out your appendix as well, because you don't really need it. So I was like, okay, that's fine. They did 4 incisions. There was one in my belly button, one just to this side, one just at the top of my groin, and then there's a longer scar just here, quite long to be honest, just starting to get over that now. And that's where they had to take it out, really, so that's why it's the biggest scar. It's keyhole surgery. Honestly, my surgeon was amazing. He was great with me beforehand, talking to me, and he gave me the nicest, cleanest scars anyone could hope for. I mean, scars are never great, but at least if it's a straight line, you can't complain too much. The operation on the whole, I was nervous for, to be completely honest, because before I had the operation, I was told that they didn't really know how bad it was going to be until they got in there. And luckily enough, I did wake up and everything was fine. They'd taken out what they needed to and nothing extra had been added. And I was in quite a lot of pain, to be honest. It wasn't unbearable. It was just, don't cough, don't laugh, because your stitches feel like they're literally going to rip apart. And they probably could, which is the scariest thing. So my friends were coming to visit me and like trying to cheer me up and make me laugh, and I was literally like, no, don't make me laugh, don't do it, because you could just feel them ripping and pulling. But the morphine pump helped. Morphine pump every 5 minutes, give it a squeeze, and you've got gushes of morphine going through your veins, sending you all woozy. It was a good time. It was a very good time. So yeah, to be honest, the operation was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, both me and my mum were worried. However, at the end of the day, it's helped me massively. And where I am now, from where I was before the operation, is ridiculous. I can eat so much more. I can do so much more. I mean, it's not to say that it's cured. It's still definitely there and irritating me on a daily basis. But it did have a really big impact. So overall, the different procedures that I've had, as much as they've been painful or irritating or invasive, extremely invasive, they've actually really been worth it, because without them I wouldn't be as healthy as I am now, I guess. They wouldn't have found out that I had Crohn's. They wouldn't have been able to take out the worst parts of it. So I am grateful for them, and I really, really don't want to scare anyone off from having them, because it is worth it, it really is. But I just want to give you a realistic idea of what it's like. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, it's great. It's really not that bad. You can't feel anything, because you will feel things inside of you. It's kind of not great. But at least you'll know, instead of me pretending that it's not the way it is. I hope you've not found it too much to deal with. And I hope that it wasn't TMI. But hey ho, this is Crohn's. This is my life. And I don't want to sugarcoat anything or beat around the bush with anything. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on my socials. They'll all be down below if you want to know what they are. My link to my blog is down below as well, because for those of you who didn't know, I do write as well. I don't just talk a load of crap all the time. Sometimes I write a load of crap as well. So if you're interested, links down below. Also, I would be grateful if you would comment anything that you want to see me talk about in the future. That would help a lot, to be honest. Anything that you guys want to see, just give me a comment and I'll bear that in mind. So I hope you all have a great day, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. Love you all.